Listen up, folks. Have you ever stopped to wonder why some people seem to have their lives locked in, moving with purpose while others are out here fighting just to stay afloat? It's not about luck, it's not about raw talent, and it ain't about who got the most doors open for them. It boils down to one thing: control. I'm talking about control over the words you speak, the thoughts you hold, the emotions you carry, and the way you handle your blessings like your money. Let me tell you something straight from my heart. If you can master your mouth, your mind, your spirit, and your resources with God's grace guiding you, you can take charge of your life. Most folks don't see it, but the power to turn things around is already inside you, placed there by the Lord Himself, waiting for you to claim it. But if you don't take the reins on these things, they'll run you into the ground. These are the pillars that shape your world. They steer every choice you make, every bond you forge, and every chance you either seize or let slip away. Take hold of them with faith, and you'll steer your life where God intends. Let them spiral out of control, and you'll end up somewhere you never meant to be, far from His path. So today I'm diving deep with you, breaking this down, and by the time we're done, you'll walk away with a fire in your soul and a renewed sense of purpose, ready to live the life God called you to live. Let's start with your mouth. When I say control your mouth, I'm not just telling you to bite your tongue when you're heated, though. Trust me, that's part of it. I'm talking about understanding the divine weight of every word you let fly. Your words are like arrows shot from a bow. Once they're out, you can't call them back. Too many people don't get this. They speak without thinking, tossing out negativity or gossip like it's nothing, not realizing they're wounding their own spirit. But here's the truth, straight from God's wisdom. Your words have the power to shape your destiny, your relationships, and the future He's laid out for you. When you open your mouth, you're not just talking about the world, you're building it brick by brick with every syllable. The words you choose are the foundation of the life you live. If you're always talking about how tough things are, how unfair life feels, or how your dreams are out of reach, you're crafting a reality that mirrors those words, pushing yourself further from God's promises. You're sending that energy out, and the world answers back. But when you speak with faith, when you proclaim God's possibilities, when you lift others up with encouragement, you're creating a space where His blessings can take root and grow. Think about the people who move your soul, those who inspire you. Do they speak doubt? Do they tear folks down? Or do they use their words to build, to push forward, to open doors for themselves and others, all while walking in God's light? That's the power you carry, the power to speak life into any moment, to heal with your words, guided by the Lord's love. But that same power can destroy if you're careless. You've got to be intentional, prayerful even about what you say. So next time you're about to speak, pause just for a second. Ask yourself, will this honor God's plan for me? Will it lift up or tear down? Is this rooted in His truth, or is it just my emotions running wild? Too often we let our feelings steer our tongues, and we say things we wish we could take back, things that wound others and ourselves. But once those words are out, they're out. You can ask for forgiveness. You can try to make it right, but the scar remains. That's why you've got to pray for wisdom and be deliberate about every word you speak. And let me tell you, this isn't just about how you talk to others. It's about how you talk to yourself. The way you speak to your own soul, that's real. The words you whisper to yourself about your life, your gifts, your future, those words are shaping who you become. If you keep telling yourself, I can't do this, or I'm not enough, or God's plan is too big for me, you'll start believing it. You'll box yourself in, limiting the path God has set before you because you're feeding your spirit lies instead of His truth. But when you change that narrative, when you start speaking God's promises over yourself, everything shifts. When you wake up and say, with God I can face anything, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, I'm walking in His purpose, you're building a foundation of faith. You're healing old wounds with His truth. You're speaking strength into your soul, courage into your steps. And before long, those words turn into actions, actions that become habits, habits that shape a future aligned with God's will. Controlling your mouth isn't about staying quiet, it's about speaking with purpose, with God's guidance. It's about knowing that every word you say either moves you closer to his plan or pulls you away. It's about seeing that your words hold power over your relationships, your opportunities, and even how you see yourself in God's eyes. Life's going to throw storms your way, that's a promise. But when you choose your words with care, rooted in faith, you can navigate those storms with the peace of God's control. When you speak wisdom, hope, and his truth, you draw those things into your life. People will see you differently, they'll respect you more. Come to you for guidance, because they know you're someone who speaks with the Lord's intention, someone who uses words to build bridges, not burn them down. Think of your words as seeds planted in God's garden. If you sow seeds of doubt, fear, or negativity, that's what you'll reap. But if you plant seeds of faith, perseverance, and love, that's what will bloom in your life. So be mindful of what you're sowing, because you'll live in the harvest you create. Too many folks waste their breath complaining about what's wrong, what they lack, or what's missing. And they wonder why their lives stay stuck. They're not tapping into the power God gave them. They're not speaking his life into their struggles. They're not claiming the control he's entrusted to them, their words. If you want to see God move in your life, it starts with what you say. Let me paint a picture for you. Think about someone who's always moaning about how hard life is. Every time you see them, they're grumbling. What kind of spirit are they putting out there? What kind of blessings are they pulling in? Not the kind God wants for them, for sure. Now think about someone who speaks with hope, who talks about God's solutions instead of dwelling on problems. You feel the difference, don't you? That's the power of words. That's the power of controlling your mouth. If you want to walk in God's purpose, if you want to lead with his strength, if you want to make a mark on this world, you've got to get your words right. Stop speaking defeat over your life. Stop saying I can't and start saying with God I will. Stop dwelling on what's broken and start proclaiming what's possible through him. And don't just do this for yourself, do it for those around you. When you control your mouth, you become a beacon of God's light for others. Your words can lift someone out of despair. Your words can spark faith in someone ready to give up. But if you're reckless, if you're always criticizing, complaining, or lashing out in anger, you'll push people away. You'll create a space where darkness thrives, and that's not the legacy God calls you to leave. So let's bring it back to control. You can't control everything in this world. You can't control what others do, the family you were born into, or every trial that comes your way. But you can control your mouth. You can choose to speak words that empower, that heal, that reflect God's love. You can choose to be intentional, knowing the power your words carry. This isn't just about success, it's about living a life of purpose, aligned with God's plan. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your reality, to reflect his glory, and to touch the lives of those you meet. Your words are a gift from God. Use them wisely and they'll build a life that shines with his purpose. Use them carelessly and they'll tear down opportunities before they even take root. So the next time you open your mouth, remember this: your words carry his power. Control them. Speak with intention. Speak God's life into your future, your relationships, and your own worth, and watch how he transforms the world around you. Now let's get real about your mind. Your mind is the most sacred tool God gave you. It's where everything starts. Every step you take, every choice you make, every dream you chase, it all begins in your thoughts. Your mind is where battles are fought and won before they ever show up in your life. You've got to grasp this, because if you don't take control of your mind, it'll take control of you. And when you let that happen, you're living reactively, tossed around by fear and doubt, instead of walking boldly in God's purpose. Think about it. Everything you've ever done, good or bad, started with a single thought. Whether it was stepping out in faith to pursue a calling, hitting the gym to honor the body God gave you, or stumbling into a mistake, it all began up here in your head. That's why the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your life is molded by the thoughts you let take root in your mind. What you dwell on grows. If your mind is cluttered with negativity, fear, or doubt, that's the path you'll walk. But if you fill it with thoughts of growth, faith, and God's promises, you'll move toward his plan for you. Too many people let their minds run wild, letting fear and doubt call the shots. They worry about what could go wrong, what others think, or if they're worthy of God's calling. And once those thoughts take hold, they spiral. One negative thought feeds another. And soon they're trapped in a trail of self-doubt and anxiety, paralyzed by the very thoughts they let run free. But here's the good news: you don't have to stay there. With God's strength, you can rewrite the story in your mind. You can choose to control your thoughts, and when you do, you're claiming the life He designed for you. Let me break it down. Controlling your mind isn't about ignoring the tough stuff or pretending fear doesn't exist. Fear is real. Doubt is real. But what you do with those feelings, that's what sets you apart. Are you going to let fear stop you? Or are you going to lay it at God's feet and keep moving forward? That's the choice you get to make every day. When you control your mind, you don't erase fear or doubt, you rise above them with God's help. You learn to manage them, to pray through them, to keep going even when the enemy tries to stack the odds against you. So what do? You guard your mind like it's the temple God made it to be. You've got to be picky about what you let in. If it doesn't lift your spirit, if it doesn't align with God's purpose for you, let it go. Instead, feed your mind with things that challenge you, that draw you closer to Him, that inspire you to walk in His truth. Read His word, let it sink deep into your soul. Listen to voices that remind you of God's promises, folks who've walked through the fire and come out stronger because they trusted Him. And here's something else: surround yourself with people who reflect God's light. The folks you spend time with shape your mindset. If you're around people who are always negative, always complaining, always doubting God's plan, that spirit will creep into you. But if you're with people who are driven, faithful, and full of hope, that spirit is contagious. The more you surround yourself with God's people, the more your mind will reflect His truth. You'll start to believe in yourself more, to see His opportunities where others see roadblocks, to face challenges with the confidence that comes from knowing He's with you. Controlling your mind means being intentional about your thoughts. When a negative thought sneaks in, you've got to catch it, pray over it, and replace it with God's truth. You can't let those thoughts sit there and fester. They'll take root and grow into something they were never meant to be. When you start thinking, "I can't do this," stop and ask, is that what God says about me? What does His word say I can do? Most times you'll see those negative thoughts are just the enemy's lies, not God's reality. So challenge them. Speak His promises over yourself and let His truth guide you. Another powerful way to control your mind is through prayerful visualization. When you close your eyes and see God's plan for you, your dreams, your purpose, your victory in Him, you train your mind to focus on His promises, not your fears. When you can picture it in your spirit, you start to believe it's possible. And once you believe it, you'll take the steps to make it real, with God leading the way. This isn't just daydreaming, it's aligning your mind with His vision for your life. It's seeing His path and letting it guide every move you make. Every morning you've got a choice. Are you going to let the world's noise drown out God's voice? Or are you going to take control of your mind? It's easy to get caught up in life's chaos, to let stress or fear take over. But you have the power through Him to choose a different way. You can focus on what you can control, think on what's true, and face every moment with a mind that says, "With God, I've got this." When you start your day, rooted Afro-American spirituals play softly in the background, lifting you into His presence. Prayer and meditation are your anchors. When you take time each day to quiet your mind, to seek God's face, to connect with the One who made you, you give your spirit the space it needs to heal and refocus. Prayer helps you hear His voice, so you can catch those negative thoughts before they spiral. Meditation centers you, letting God's peace wash over you, healing the wounds life leaves behind. They remind you that you're not alone, you're held by a God who's bigger than any storm. The bottom line is this: controlling your mind is a daily walk with God. It's not a one-time thing, it's a commitment to your purpose, your healing, and the future He's calling you to. It's about taking responsibility for your thoughts, knowing they have the power to shape your life. When you control your mind, you step into his destiny for you. You're no longer swayed by fear or doubt. You're grounded in his strengths, steering your life toward his plan. So start today. Be mindful of your thoughts. Feed your mind with God's word, with voices that lift you toward him. Challenge the lies when they come and replace them with his truth. Picture his plan for you, pray, meditate, and take control of your mind. Because when you do, you're taking control of your life, and with God by your side, there's nothing you can't do. Now let's talk about your spirit, your mood. Your mood is like the lens God gave you to see the world, and if you don't keep it in check, it can cloud everything he's trying to show you. You've seen it before. Someone wakes up off balance, and all day they carry that heavy spirit. Every conversation turns sour. Every challenge feels like the end of the world. They're acting like life's against them, when really it's their mood throwing shadows on God's light. They've let a passing feeling take over and dictate how they walk through their day. But here's what you need to know: your mood isn't something that just happens to you. God gave you the power to shape it. It's not some force you're helpless against. It's something you can guide, something you can lift up to him. Your mood is a choice, a chance to reflect his peace, no matter what's swirling around you. And when you grab hold of that truth, when you see you can steer your spirit with his help, everything changes. Let's be real, emotions are part of being human. I'm not saying you should bury how you feel. If you're angry, you're angry. If you're hurting, you're hurting. Those feelings are real, and God sees them. But just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to let it rule you. Emotions are like waves, they rise and fall. They come and go. But with God's strength, you don't have to be swept away. You can stand firm, riding those waves with his grace instead of sinking under them. One of the biggest traps is thinking your feelings are the whole truth. You wake up anxious or weighed down, and you start believing your whole day's doomed. But feelings aren't facts. Just because you're heavy in the moment doesn't mean God's plan is off track. It's just an emotion, it'll pass. And the second you see that, the second you know your mood can shift with his help, you take back the reins. It starts with awareness. Most folks go through life on autopilot, not even noticing how their mood's steering them. They react without thinking, letting their emotions call the shots. But when you pause and check in with yourself, when you ask, Lord, what's in my heart right now? You give yourself the chance to lift that mood to him. You step into his light, letting his peace guide you instead of letting your feelings run wild. Think about it. How many times have you let one small thing set the tone for your whole day? Maybe you hit traffic or someone said something that stung. Next thing you know, you're carrying that weight, snapping at folks, getting upset over nothing. You let that moment snowball into something bigger than God intended. But when you control your mood, you stop that spiral before it starts. You breathe, you pray, and you choose how you want to walk forward. You choose to let it go, to not let that moment steal God's joy from your day. That's the key choice. You always have a choice with your mood. You might not control what comes at you, but with God, you control how you answer. You can dwell on the dark or lift your eyes to his light. You can let a bad moment ruin your day or choose to move forward, trusting his plan. It's all in your hands. And when you start seeing your mood as something you can shape with his help, you stop being a victim of life's ups and downs. You step into his power. Now, controlling your mood doesn't mean faking a smile when your heart's heavy. It's not about stuffing your feelings or pretending everything's fine. It's about carrying those feelings to God, letting him guide you so they don't take over. It's about finding ways to release them in his presence through prayer, through worship, so they don't drag you down. Let's talk about gratitude for a second. Gratitude is one of the strongest tools God gave you to lift your spirit. When you focus on what you're thankful for, when you deliberately turn your heart to the blessings he's poured out, it's near impossible to stay stuck in a dark place. Gratitude reminds you that even when things feel off, God's still working. It shifts your eyes from what's missing to what's overflowing in his love. So when you're feeling low, when life's pressing hard, stop and thank him. It doesn't have to be big. Thank him for waking you up, for the roof over your head, for the people he's placed in your life. Whatever it is, let it fill you. Let it anchor you in his goodness, reminding you that even in the storm, there's something to hold on to. Gratitude heals. It restores. It's God's gift to pull you back to his peace. Another key to your mood is your mindset. Your spirit flung you think if you're always there on what's wrong, what's lacking, it's tough to stay in God's joy. But if you train your mind to see his goodness, to view challenges as chances to grow in faith, to see setbacks as lessons in his plan, your mood will follow. Your spirit mirrors your thoughts. So if you want to lift your mood, start by lifting your mind to him. Prayer and mindfulness are your tools here. When you take time each day to still your heart, to seek God's presence, you make room for his peace to flow in. You grow aware of your thoughts, and that awareness lets you catch your mood before it slips too far. Instead of reacting to every little thing, you respond with God's wisdom. You choose his peace over chaos, his truth over fleeting feelings. And don't forget, your spirit is contagious. The energy you carry spreads to others. If you're walking around heavy, complaining, focused on what's wrong, you'll draw more of that into your life. But if you're radiating God's joy, his hope, his gratitude, that light will come back to you. People will be drawn to you. Doors will open. God's blessings will flow. So take hold of your mood. Don't let it steer you. Don't let a rough morning turn into a rough day, or a rough day into a rough week. You know that with God, you can shift your spirit any moment. You can choose his joy. You can choose his gratitude. You can choose to see his hand even in the hard times. And when you do, your life will start to reflect his glory. Your mood matters. It touches everything, from your relationships to your purpose to your walk with him. So don't brush it off. Check in with your heart. And when you feel your mood slipping, lean into him, breathe. Pray, focus on his goodness. Choose gratitude. Choose his light. Choose to control your mood. Because when you do, you're stepping into the life he's called you to live. And finally, let's talk about your money. This one's heavy, not just dollars and cents, but the way you think about it. Money can be a tool God gave you for freedom, or it can chain you down, keeping you up at night, stealing your peace. Too many folks are ruled by their money, or the lack of it. They're scraping by paycheck to paycheck, wondering how they'll make it. They're drowning in debt, feeling like they'll never break free. They've got no plan. And without a plan, they feel helpless. But here's the truth: money, like everything else, is something you can steward with God's wisdom. You just have to be intentional. You have to decide to take charge of it with his guidance, instead of letting it run your life. Let's clear something up. Money isn't evil. You've heard folks say it's the root of all evil. But that's not what God's word says. It's the love of money that's the problem. When you chase it above everything, when you put it before God, when you'll do anything to get more, that's where you lose your way. But money itself is just a tool. It's neutral. And how you use it, that's what matters. You can use it to build something beautiful, something lasting, something that blesses you and others in God's name. Or you can use it recklessly, without thought, and dig yourself into a hole. It's your call. So how do you take control of your money? It starts with a plan, a God-honoring plan. You've got to know where every dollar's going before it even hits your hands. Too many people spend without praying, without thinking, chasing every impulse or flashy deal. But if you want to steward your money well, you've got to be proactive. That means budgeting. That means saving. That means investing in the future God's preparing for you. It's about being a faithful steward of every blessing he's entrusted to you. Now, budgeting might not sound exciting, but let me tell you, budgeting is freedom. When you've got a plan, you know exactly where your money's going. No guessing, no stressing, you're in control with God as your guide. You're telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it vanished. And when you're intentional, you stop letting your emotions drive your spending. Let's talk about that. Emotions and money don't mix. How many times have you had a rough day and thought, I'll buy something to feel better? How many times have you said, I deserve this, and bought something you knew you couldn't afford? I get it, we've all been there. But just because you feel like you deserve it doesn't mean it's God's will for you to buy it. Just because you're down doesn't mean you should spend money that'll set you back. That kind of emotional spending is a trap, and if you're not careful, it'll keep you stuck in a cycle of debt and worry, far from the peace God wants for you. You've got to be wise with your money. You've got to pray over it. Think long term. Don't just live for today, think about where God's calling you 5, 10 years from now. Think about the life He wants for you and your family, and start making choices that line up with His plan. That means saving. That means investing. That means living below your means, even when the world's shouting at you to keep up with everyone else. Let's talk saving, because too many folks aren't doing it enough. They're living for now, spending every dollar they make, hoping tomorrow will work itself out. But tomorrow's coming, ready or not. You've got to be prepared with God's wisdom. Start with an emergency fund, something to catch you when life throws curveballs, because it will. The car's going to break down. The roof's going to leak. Medical bills will show up. If you don't have money set aside, you'll end up in a hole that's tough to climb out of. Once your emergency fund's solid, look ahead. Think about retirement, about investments, about building wealth that lasts not for your glory, but for God's. Wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, how much you use to honor Him. Too many folks chase big paychecks but don't watch what they're spending. They're making 6 figures and still broke because they spend it as fast as it comes in. That's not wealth. Wealth is building something lasting, a legacy that reflects God's provision, that creates freedom for you and those who come after you. And let me say this, financial freedom isn't about millions in the bank. It's about being in control of your money with God at the helm instead of it controlling you. It's about living within the means He's given you. It's about having a plan, being intentional, making sure your money's working for His kingdom, not against you. When you've got financial freedom, you've got options. You can live on God's terms. You can chase the passions He's placed in your heart. You can give generously to His work. You can invest in what matters to Him. But you'll never get there if you're letting money call the shots. If you're spending on a whim. If you're piling up debt with no plan. So here's what you do. Get clear on where your money's going. Track every dollar, every blessing. Look at what's coming in and what's going out. Then make a budget that honors God's priorities for you. Make sure you're saving. Make sure you're investing. Make sure you're thinking long term, not just today. And here's the truth, it's never too late to start. I don't care if you're 25 or 55, just starting out or nearing retirement, God's grace is enough to help you take control of your money. It might take time. It might mean sacrifice, but it's worth it. Because when you control your money, you're not just building wealth, you're building freedom. Freedom to live the life God's calling you to chase His purpose, to give in ways that glorify Him. So take charge of your money. Don't let it chain you down. Be intentional, be disciplined, pray over your plan and stick to it. Because when you do, you're not just securing your future, you're stepping into God's freedom. You're creating a life not defined by stress or lack, but by His abundance, His opportunity, His provision. That's a life worth living. So take control. It's your money. It's your life. It's God's plan. Don't let any of it slip away. Let's tie this all together now. Control your mouth, your mind, your mood, your money. These are the cornerstones of the life God's calling you to live. You can't control every storm that comes, but with Him, you can control how you stand in it. That's where your real power lies, in walking with Him. You're not a victim of life's twists and turns. You're not at the mercy of what the world throws at you. You have the power, through God's grace, to shape your reality, to build your future, to live a life full of His purpose, His healing, and His victory. But it all starts with taking control. Your mouth, the words you speak, carry God's weight. You can speak life or destruction. Every time you open your mouth, you're choosing building something up or tearing it down. You can strengthen your relationships, your purpose, your faith with the words you use, or you can sabotage them. When you speak with intention, with God's guidance, you'll see your life flow smoother. People will respond to you differently. Doors will open that would have stayed shut if you'd been careless. And it's not just about how you talk to others, it's about how you speak to yourself. The way you talk to your soul matters. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, you'll never reach God's plan for you. You'll start believing it. And once you believe it, you'll live it. So take charge of your mouth. Your words create the world God's placed you in. Then there's your mind. It's a battlefield, and the fight's won or lost in your thoughts. Every step you take, every habit you build, every purpose you chase, it all starts here. If you don't control your thoughts, they'll run wild, fear, doubt, negativity creeping in to steal God's plan. But you don't have to let them. You can choose what you dwell on. You can fill your mind with His truth, His promises, His strength. And when you do, your actions will follow. You'll make wiser choices, push harder, reach higher, go further than you ever dreamed, because when you control your mind, you're walking in God's destiny. Your mood, too many of us let our emotions dictate how we show up. We let a tough morning ruin everything, a small setback turn into a mountain. But your mood is your responsibility. With God as your strength, you can't always control what hits you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose gratitude over grumbling, faith over despair. And when you do, your spirit shifts. His light draws people, opens doors, pulls in His blessings. So don't let your emotions run you. You're the one God put in charge. And your money, it's a tool, not your master. It's not something to chase endlessly or fear. It's something to steward with God's wisdom. When you budget, save, invest with intention, you're building freedom, not just wealth, but options. Freedom to live His purpose, to give generously, to walk without worry. Financial freedom isn't about being rich, it's about choices that honor God, not being trapped by debt or lack. When you control your money, you're building a life that reflects His abundance. But let me be clear, none of this happens overnight. You don't wake up one day with everything under control. It takes time, it takes prayer, it takes leaning on Him. And you don't have to be perfect, you just have to start. Start today. Pick one thing. Maybe it's watching your words, guiding your thoughts, choosing His joy when life's heavy, or making a budget that honors Him. Take that first step. Then take another. And before you know it, you'll be living a life that's intentional, healed. Yours a life God designed. And as you walk this path, as you take control of your mouth, your mind, your mood, your money, you'll see it change. You're not just reacting to life, you're creating it with Him. You're in the driver's seat, guided by His hand. That's a powerful place to be. But it's not just about you. When you live with control, with God's purpose, you're sparking something bigger. You're inspiring those around you, your family, your friends, your community. You're showing them what's possible in Him. You're lifting them up, shining His light. When you live intentionally, you become a leader, a beacon in a world that needs God's hope. So don't wait. Don't let life just happen to you. Take control of your mouth, your mood, your money. It won't be easy. It won't be quick. But with God, it'll be worth it. One day you'll look back and see you didn't just live, you built a life. You shaped it, you owned it. And in doing that, you'll leave a legacy that echoes His glory, a life of purpose, of healing, of victory. So start now. Take that step. Control your life, because God's given you the power, and nobody else can do it for you. It's in your hands, with Him leading the way. So what are you going to do with it? Now I want to hear from you. God's word says in Hebrews 10:24, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. You're not just anybody, you're special, created by God with a purpose only you can fulfill. How's He calling you to take control today? Maybe it's a word you need to speak, a thought you need to shift, a mood you need to lift, or a dollar you need to steward. Share it in the comments below. Your story could be the spark God uses to lift someone else. Let's build each other up, reflecting His love, because together we're stronger. Let's do this, family, let's live for him.